that was a hell of an interview you had 2 days ago, to say the least. What, what, at what point did you realize that you had quite a unique chit chat on your hands there, Dan, with Scottie Pippen the other day?
I think that he was welcoming when, sometimes when somebody's available for an interview, they know it's just sort of, I got to listen to all these questions, same questions over and over and over. And I think Scottie had been doing a few interviews, and he was selling his bourbon, but it felt like he was not excited to see me, but at least welcoming. And I just thought, okay, there's an opening here. I hope to be able to ask him questions without it being, hey, everybody's asking that question, or let me go through the motions and answer that. And when I realized that he was going to answer it honestly, or at least I thought it was honestly, then I thought I might have something there. I didn't realize it until about 5 to 7 minutes in that it's like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Now let's buckle up, put the Hans device on. I think we're going to be going toe-to-toe a little bit.
Well, I mean, I imagine the first time you interviewed Scottie was when he was winning championships with the Bulls when it first started, right? Yeah. So you've been around him a long time.
I interviewed him on the night that he got drafted.
Right.
And I was there covering it, and he had gotten traded the night of the draft for Olden Polynice, and I was sitting there next to him and Olden Polynice. There's a group of reporters, and they Olden had gotten drafted by the Bulls, and Scottie got drafted by the Seattle Supersonics. And then they announced the trade. Those guys just switched hats, and then they started talking about their new respective teams. That was the first time I met him, and then after that, subsequently with the Chicago Bulls.
Well, because I just seem to remember, the Kukoc stuff, where just the Bulls writ large, not just Scottie. Everyone had a problem with Kukoc joining the team, that he wasn't really welcomed by the team. Like, at least that was the general sense of everything at the time when he sat, and the fact that Phil didn't turn to Scottie, certainly at the time and in the subsequent years, never thought about it as in racial terms. And so Scottie mentioned that earlier this week, and just your simple asking him to put a little bit more, detail behind it certainly opened a door. Did that surprise you, or had you already heard some of the footsteps about that even before he had said something? Dan.
I had never heard anything like that. And I think when I saw it in print in GQ, when he was asked about that play, and he said that, there was racism involved in it, and I thought, I wonder if Scottie knows that he just called his head coach a racist.
Right.
And I said, to Fritzy, see if you can get Scottie on and tell him I want to talk to him about this quote. I want to know if he wants to add to it, subtract from it, put it in context. And even when I started talking to him, I was able to kind of feel it out of, okay, does he even know what I'm going to be talking to him about? And the point was, when I said, let's bring up 1994, he goes, no, I've already done that. And I thought, no, we're going to bring up the quote. And then, I said, do you realize you called Phil Jackson a racist? He's like, yeah. And then I go, I don't know if he knows the magnitude of this. To call your head coach, one of the great coaches in history, a racist, and he didn't back down from it. And, he brought up the Kobe Bryant situation where Phil wrote a book, and that's why I said, well, that doesn't make him racist. That means he might be disloyal, and he was having nothing to do with it. And I thought, okay, this is going to become a really big deal. And there are times when I did the interview with Russell Wilson, in the moment, I realized this is going to be a really big deal. Sometimes the person you're interviewing doesn't know it, but I think in those terms when I'm interviewing somebody, and that is, oh, that's going to stand out. That's a quote. That's a headline. It doesn't always happen, but in the moment, sometimes you're going, oh, boy. And I certainly felt that way with Scotty.
Yeah, and you're referring to when Russell was talking about his protection and things of that nature. You interviewed him just a couple days after he won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, right after the Super Bowl, when he was sitting there and watching Brady do what he did, which is definitely resonating in the quarterback world. Dan Patrick here on the Rich Eisen Show. And again, just to go into that response that Scotty did give you about Phil and why he thought that Tony took the shot. You also got a soliloquy from him where, again, I know as an interviewer, sometimes you either have to keep pushing or you're just like, okay, that's basically your answer. What is he going on about the Steve Kerr play and the cameras being in the huddle and that Jordan knew that the cameras were there and he could control them? Like, thinking, was he inferring that Jordan knew the Last Dance documentary was going to come like decades later, and he wanted to lay tracks about why he wasn't getting the final shot to cover for Phil's racism? Is that what I don't understand? What was he saying there? You know, that
one felt like it was a little, a big leap from what we were talking about to, right. Hey, I have an isolated incident here, and it has to do with because I was bringing up that Phil designing a play for Steve Kerr,
right,
that Michael didn't have a problem with it, and then that's when Scotty said, no, Michael designed the play. He knew the cameras were rolling. He wanted to take charge of it. It wasn't Phil who made that call, and I had never heard that before either, and I was there with that in those moments.
Right.
And I never heard anybody say after the fact, hey, Michael's the one that called that play, not Phil. And here's the reason why he did it. I don't know. So, there are times when you go, okay, I don't know where he's going with this, but I do want to say this in all fairness to Scotty.
Yes.
I asked a question. He gave me an answer. It's not like he tried to, like he truly feels this way. And I know no one has come to his defense here, but it doesn't mean he's wrong. In his mind, what he saw, perceived, what he felt, what he heard, he's right. I was on the outside looking in, and he has held on to these things for over 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think the documentary hurt him a lot more than we know, and I think it embarrassed him. I think when your kids are watching this now, it's one thing that he went through it. Now his children are watching this. He's going through a divorce. He lost a child.
Right.
There was a lot of things that throw in there and just to try to make sense of it. But I just didn't want to come off as Tony was, saying crazy things just to say crazy. I've been around Rodman. I've been around Tyson. I've been around guys who say crazy things. I think Scotty truly feels this, and he's been carrying this baggage for a long time. Nobody asked for Scottie Pippen to give a quote. Once a year, Scotty will give a quote. It has to do with LeBron and Michael, or Michael and LeBron. And then we go, oh, did you hear what Scotty had to say? Nobody is asking him about this other stuff that happened. And I think he got the opportunity, and he wanted to make sure that people got to hear his side of it. Whether you believe it or not, I think he wanted that opportunity, and he got it. I don't think he regrets saying anything on the show.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.